Today we're going to talk about cheap money. So I just got a call back from the dealership. I'm dealing with truck truck center companies up in Minnesota, and they've got a location in Lincoln and other locations as well. Um, what's nice about this company or this Freightliner dealership is that they do a lot of business with Crete. They have that close relationship with Crete. So when you go in there and you tell them you're a Crete owner operator, you know, I found them to be extremely fair and in many ways kind of rolled out the red carpet. So I would recommend them. Truck Center companies. Uh, that was one dealership right there next to Crete in Lincoln, Nebraska, and then up to Mankato because that's where the truck was. And Crete has that Walmart distribution center right across the street from the Freightliner dealer. So even though it's a Peterbilt, I'm buying it through Freightliner. And I had multiple lenders compete for the loan. So the initial lender was Daimler Financial, and they came in at 3.5% APR. And I wasn't terribly excited about that because I have a credit score of 800 and I'm putting $20,000 as a down payment. So in my view, I should be getting the best APR that they have to offer. So Freightliner went back to another lender that they use, and then they got back to me this morning, 8.75% APR. That's a big difference. That's almost 5% difference between Daimler Financial and this other lender. That's huge. Because with that low of interest rate, I wouldn't even pay off the truck early. Because in my mind, 8.75% APR is kind of like cheap money. It's it's very manageable when you have a lower APR like that. So my monthly truck payment is going to be like $1,900 a month. you know, and I'll end up building a credit if I don't pay it off early. I'll end up paying credit or building credit over those 36 months, and they use a credit reporting agency called PayNet, and that's reported on my business credit report. See, the problem with buying trucks from Crete is Crete doesn't report any of your payments to the credit bureaus. And that becomes a problem for the lenders because they pull your business credit and they pull your personal credit, and they don't see them truck payments on there. Now, Crete gives you this nice little letter that's a business or it's a credit reference letter, but the lenders prefer to see the credit report. They're not too excited about that letter. But because I have excellent credit over 800 and I'm putting $20,000 a down payment, this second lender is giving me a better rate, 8.75 versus Daimler Financial at 13.5, almost a 5% difference. It's like 4.75% difference in APR. Now, there is an early payment penalty, 3% penalty on the remaining balance during the first year, 2% penalty on the remaining balance on the second year, and 1% penalty on the remaining balance. The penalty applies to the remaining balance. So if you make large payments before paying it off, then you reduce the remaining balance. So instead of sending them one big check for $40,000 to pay off the truck, what you would do is you probably would do 20,000, one month, and 10,000 another month. And then like your remaining balance is like $10,000, or less. And then you pay that 3% fee. If you wanted to pay the truck off early, you may not want to pay the truck off early. Again, 8.75% is cheap money. There's other things you could do with that money other than pay that truck off. You're going to build credit over those 36 months. The credit history is going to be very important for building your credit. And you could take that money and you can invest it. S&P 500 gives you a historical average of 10%. You could get more than that. Um, you could use it for all kinds of things. For a down payment on a house. You could use your money instead of paying off the truck. Use it to go upgrade your personal vehicle, or put more money towards your retirement. There's a numerous ways to spend that money other than paying off the truck. See, that 8.75 is kind of like cheap money. You're getting a loan at 8.75% APR. That's cheap. That's very cheap. Um, Even a person, 12% or more, plus, a $5,000 loan fee, which they gives you an effective interest rate of 20%. So by comparison, 8.75 is really cheap. It's very cheap. Let's see what else we got going on here. You know, the the cost of the truck itself is going to be less than $80,000. It's probably going to come in at, uh, you know, I think it's going to come in at 79,000, something like that. So the loan is only going to be like 59 or 60,000. Which would be fine. Um, Probably picking up the truck early next week, and they're going to deliver it to Lincoln. So that's the thing. If you're a Crete owner operator, you could go to truck center companies. They're Freightliner. If you prefer Freightliner, they'll sell you a Freightliner. They do take trade-ins, so you could find any other make that that their network of dealers has. So guys are always trading in their Kenworths and Peterbilts and jumping in a Freightliner or International. So if you want one of those trucks, they probably have them as trade-in. And I with up in Mankota, I'm sure he can get you almost any, and he can keep an eye out um, as trade-ins are coming in. Mankota, his name is Chris Hart, Hart. Well, I've dealt with over the years. He's probably the best one. They really came through there. I had my doubts, but finance manager came through with a lower APR in that loan. So I would do business with them again. Absolutely. I think my next truck may be a brand new Peterbilt. In which case I wouldn't go to Freightliner for that. But if they had another Peterbilt with 200,000 miles on it, I could take a look at it. But this one I'm purchasing has 355,000 miles. I plan on holding on to it for at least 2 years, and then maybe after that I may go buy a brand new Peterbilt. But um, you know, I would definitely do business with these guys again. Like, they treated me extraordinarily well, and I think it's because of the special relationship they have with Crete. Crete has a fleet of 5,000 trucks, strong relationships with different Freightliner dealerships throughout the country. Like, if you're in Dallas, Premier Freightliner right there in South Dallas is real tightly knit with Crete. You go in there and get all kinds of Crete discounts. Same thing with this company here, Truck Center Companies, very close to Crete. Crete's buying a lot of their trucks from this dealership, and a lot of service is being done at that dealership. So um, take advantage of that. Make sure you tell them you're with Crete, because I think that makes a difference. Is located in Mankato, and he can move to Lincoln free of charge for me because I'm with Crete. So I would definitely much value of that as possible. Now, from Crete, you know, through uh, Freightliner Truck Center companies. And here's why I think it's an opportunity. One, you won't have that required maintenance account. Two, you won't have the speed limiter. Three, if you have excellent credit like I do, maybe you can get a low APR, 8.75%. Crete's charging 10 or 11% on their trucks. And I think the equipment's better. The dealership went, into great detail making that truck ready. The engine is spotless. The tires are brand new virgin tires, Yokohama. That's a top tier tire brand. The truck has been professionally detailed. The truck is ready to go to work on day one. You buy a Crete truck, you know, it needs some work before you even take it on the road. And it doesn't have virgin tires, it has retreads, and you're going to have that required maintenance account and you're going to have a speed limiter. I think the Crete truck purchase program is fine for the rookies, but if you've been an owner operator of Crete and you're going on your second truck, you really should be buying a truck from the dealership. And what better dealership to buy it from than this truck center companies? And the thing is, you want that truck delivered to Nebraska because Nebraska doesn't require you to pay sales tax. I live in Texas, the truck is in Minnesota, and Crete is located in Nebraska. Well, Texas has sales tax and Minnesota has sales tax. Nebraska does not have sales tax. And the rule is headquartered in Nebraska. That's your home base of jurisdiction for owner operators. That's where your logs are being kept. All your records are being kept right there in Lincoln. So that qualifies as your base of jurisdiction. If you have with a common carrier like Crete, then you don't pay sales tax. But if you buy that truck, which is like 8%, if you buy that truck in Minnesota and you take a load from Minnesota, you're going to pay Minnesota sales tax, which is like 5 or 6%. So you get that free delivery to Lincoln. That's a big deal. That probably saves you $4,000 or $5,000 in sales tax just by having it delivered in Lincoln. And they deliver it for free because you're with Crete. They won't do that for everybody. They do that because of that special relationship that they have with Crete. So I think it's great. Now, the Peterbilt I'm buying has a Cummins engine, and Freightliner is a Cummins service point. So if I had engine work that needs to be done, I can go to any Peterbilt, any Kenworth, and any Freightliner, as long as the Freightliner has Cummins, you know, uh, service, which most of them do. You can get a Cummins and a Freightliner if you really wanted it. So that's good. And the truck has warranty up to 5 years, 500,000 miles. So that's, up to January 2027. And I called Peterbilt and they recommend the National Truck Protection warranty after that if you want to, if you want to pick up additional warranty. Um, Now the truck also comes with an APU, Thermo King Tri-Pack APU, and I had them installed a grill guard and a new refrigerator. Okay, so that truck has a grill guard, a Thermo King APU, diesel Tri-Pack Evolution, uh, 8 virgin drive tires, okay, 355,000 miles, 8.75% APR. Price of the truck is $80,000. Now compare that to what Crete's offering, and I don't think it's any comparison. Crete's going to charge you $80,000. Going to put retread tires on your truck. It's going to have you required to have a maintenance account and speed limiter and strings attached, so you can't leave the company until that truck's paid off, and no APU. So for the most bang for the buck, I think this is a good deal. It's a good deal because of the equipment, and it's a good deal because of the loan. And it's overall much better than what I could have purchased through Crete. And it's going to be reported on my business credit report. So I'm going to start building credit history, by making truck payments. So it's cheap money. I don't think I would pay the truck off early. I just let it go its full term. Take that money instead and invest it in my portfolio and grow my portfolio. So I think that's the way to go. All right, guys, that's all I got for you. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the internet.